welcome again to this new segment. Let's talk business, the entrepreneurs edition. Tonight we have a new guest, Brian Gita. He's an entrepreneur. He's quite interesting. He has a lot of things around him. Brian basically is an innovator. He has done a lot of innovations on the market. Today we have to discuss with him. We have visited him at his office in Semawata, Ntinda, Semawata Road, that is in Ntinda, Kampala suburb. It's quite interesting that I've been here a couple of times because I've known Brian for maybe, I would say, 10 years or so, because I was with him at university. So he's here to tell us his story about today's Let's Talk Business segment. We have a theme. It says how to build a resilient startup in Uganda's economy. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. Follow the discussion on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. As we come back to have this discussion, don't forget to subscribe. Yes, we have delivered as promised. We have Mr. Brian Gita on this new segment, Let's Talk Business, the Entrepreneurs Edition. So, Brian, I know you for quite a while. Yes. Maybe the viewers out there don't know you.
Sure. Thank you for coming to Laban and coming to visit us so that we take this opportunity to talk. My name is Brian Gita, and I'm a team lead at Think IT, which is mainly a software development company. But our main goal is closing the gap between the communities and their rightful access to services, be it healthcare, that we mainly focus on, and also other service as a delivery option, and seeing how we use technological tools to better the process in which they get these services. So it's good to have you here.
Wow, that's quite a big CV. And we appreciate the invitation to come over to your office. So Brian, basically we are discussing about how to build a resilient startup in this economy. I know for a fact you have been in this field for quite a long time as a youth, as an entrepreneur, as an innovator. You've built quite an interesting, I will not call it a startup anymore, I'll call it an established maybe venture or company, which is called Think IT, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have done quite a lot for the people out there. So I would like to ask you maybe to give us your opinion and your stand on the status of the youth, on how basically, Uganda, we have a lot of startups.
True.
We have a lot. Everyone is doing a startup, starting from, if an 18-year-old, 35-year-old, everyone is doing a startup.
Yeah.
What do you think is the status of these startups in our country?
So one of the things, even before we go there, we know this is an entrepreneurial country, right? Everyone can easily start up a business, be it at your local home. You want to engage into trading, you want to buy vegetables and sell them. So it's kind of free economy that allows us to start businesses. How legal those businesses are is a discussion for another day. But that mindset has been instilled in us because of the hustle and the people trying to make lives better for themselves. So a startup in a Ugandan context is wide, right? To some people, it's also that person that is going to sell their clothes online using social media platform, using Facebook. People are setting up shops and things like that. But putting that in context and focusing on that, startups are quite dynamic and interesting. The youth should focus on one, identifying problems. For long, we have just been, there was a time where people just wanted to get access to capital. For example, loans, grants, investments, and that kept them running. But I think that's a wrong way of looking at starting a business. If you have to go after business, you have to look at a problem. What is this? What is the problem? What's the market? Because the reason we go into these businesses of starting companies is to address a market, but also to be profitable.
Yes, true.
So you have to link the two together, the problem and the market, and then get a solution or a product that you can link to that. So it has to be you have to create a method to doing something in that context.
Yeah, so you've said we have that mindset. I like to appreciate the fact that the youth out there have understood the aspect of opening up a business.
Opening up something.
Opening up something. I mean, you will meet someone today and ask the person, "Oh, what are you into?" "No, I did. I opened up an online shop about this." Then after 4 months down the road, you meet the same person. "Oh, what are you into?" "Oh, by the way, now I have this kind of business." So you find that we have a lot of, even according to the statistics, they show that Uganda is one of the countries that have the highest number of startups. The people going in there to register these businesses or to open the businesses is high. The challenge we have is 5 months down the road,
They collapse.
1 year down the road, most of those businesses are not there, probably due to various factors. Factors like raising capital, factors like bookkeeping. There are very many factors that lead to these startups or these companies not even seeing their 1 year birthday.
True.
What do you think is the challenge, or what do you think that the youth have done towards that?
So one of the ways, and I don't think we will have all the answers in this segment for sure, but in my opinion, it's easier for somebody to do something they're talented in or that they love doing
Or they are
passionate about. That's why you'll find that a person that is doing a sports boxing and gets a mind shift to do that as a business will become a gym instructor, will become a home trainer, and that's then turning your passion into a business. If you've grown up in a family that is doing trading, that means your passion is in trading. You've liked this, you like real estate. Then starting something around real estate, that means you're going to probably say there is a problem in this market. People are finding it hard to get houses. So how about I create a social or online platform to link these landlords to the people that are looking for houses? So it has to come from something that you have skill and talent in. So in most cases, we want to go into sectors that we have no idea about.
All right.
So I say I'm not going to wait. I would love to wake up and start a business in oil, but it means I will invest a lot of knowledge in that. So we have to prepare our minds and say, what is the low-hanging fruit? But that's not me calling for people to do short-term thinking. Business is about long-term. So as you look at the sector you're getting into, have that long-term plan. Some people do not know what their business is going to look like 6 months down the road.
True.
Which causes them.
I think that brings us the most important discussion we're having today.
Yeah.
I think we have seen that most of the successful businesses or the successful projects or plans that have happened in this world are those ones that have a long-term element in them, long-termism in them. I mean, let's give an example. We had the Millennium Development Goals,
True.
which later became the Sustainable Development Goals. So we see that we have this UN agenda being a 2030 UN agenda, of which Uganda subscribes to.
True.
So, but we find that most of the youth have a challenge out there. They think we can do something short term. They want to experience, they don't want to have an experience to grow their businesses. But the most important thing we are going to have here is a discussion of how can we build resilience? How can we build that momentum? How can we build the urge for a youth out there to invest in long-termism so that we can achieve something for this country after a long time?
That's a huge one. So because before the segment, we're talking about things like our friends in the Indian community,
Yes.
and how they've built culture over time of setting foundations for businesses that last for a long time. I think there is one of the main things we'll do is try to change the mindset. It's many people are involved in I want to get rich fast. And that mindset is not a good mindset of building a company that is going to last. Why? You're going to look at a small, that may be a terrible deal for your company at that time, and it may end you in that's where you hear companies are involved in fraud and everything, because the guy wants to become rich. He wants to become rich and do things that has taken other companies time to build. So we need to invest in changing mindsets. That's the trainings that we are putting out there, the workshops. What are the private sector players doing? What is the government sector players doing to see that they install such pipelines of proper thinking? The government should also guide and put bodies that are creating frameworks of proper business setup. Say Laban wants to start a business in media, right? What's that pipeline? I know some development agencies, some innovation hubs are coming out to do that, but business is more than just technology, and these hubs are focusing on only technology. Yes, technology is a big enabler these days, but we have to think broader than just only technology, because you realize if you want to do, for example, in my use case, we have been working on services for healthcare for a long time, right? And you realize that initially you want to build this system and you want to take it as an app to the health facility, but that takes time. So if your mentality is wrong and you want to grow rich very fast, you have to work with this hospital for over a year for them to actually probably realize value. And as you build that value, that's when also the patient would see value. So you're building an ecosystem and creating that change. It takes time because we are accustomed to doing things differently. And you're not going to do it only with technology. There's trainings you're going to couple up in there. There's sensitization and a whole lot of things to align yourself. So we need to get all the different stakeholders within the ecosystem of businesses and making sure we set up an economy to be growing, to see that we are having the right mindsets within the people. We are creating frameworks that guide them, and also having private sector and government buy-in. What do I mean by that? We should create more funds to award or to invest in these good business ideas. And it's not a must that they're going to be successful, but the more you invest in them, the more you're cultivating that culture of starting strategic and long-term businesses.
Yeah, so to talk about the issue of awarding and the issue of investing in these startups and businesses. I know for a fact you have been lucky to have a couple of awards, and I've seen your innovations around the whole world. It's not been in the country only, it's in the whole world. Maybe if you don't mind, you'd share with us your past experiences on the awards. How many awards do you have? How has been your journey onto getting these awards, being recognized by the whole world to do a malaria solution, to find out how best we can test for malaria out there. So do you mind sharing with us that
the journey?
Yeah.
So for us, I mean, when we started out and we are going into malaria diagnostics as a first product that we are offering, it was tough. One, my background is in computer science.
Yeah.
My background is
You're not a medical personnel.
It's not a medical personnel. But so we got to learn at a very early stage that business or anything that you just want to do and scale it in a business has to be diversified, and that diversity starts from the team. So, and I want to thank the team that has moved this journey with us for sure, to make sure that all this is possible and still moving. So we set up to try and create a dynamic team, a team that can address and brings value to the different sectors in the kind of solutions that we want to give out to the community. So, and that led us into growing and trying to, and our strategy, sure, in the early days, how we got some of these partnership and investments coming in, was aggressively going out and say, hey, look, this is what we are doing. Most of us are timid and we do not talk about what we're doing. You lose nothing to go out there and say, hey, Laban, send him an email, send anyone an email. Know who you want to reach out, know why you want to reach them. Do they have a connection to another person you need? Send them an email, give them a call, take them out, drink tea, create a relationship. Because beyond just your business, there's a big network that builds business, and those are relationships that people forget to invest in. So invest in those relationships, build those relationships. That's one of the strategies we took. So we built those networks, and eventually we started, of course, coupled with hard work and innovative approaches, we started seeing a payoff. We started seeing people buying in the idea at an early stage, saying, let us invest in this to see you deliver this service. And that's how we kept on growing to bigger scales of partnering with companies. with big pharma companies like Merck, with private sectors like Rolex and things like that, and other different entities. I mean, also scaling into that development side, trying to understand how we could use innovation within the 8 refugee settlements and things like that. So that's how we began to grow. But it's also a lot of hard work in building those relationships and opening yourself out. Because in most cases, people think I'm doing something very innovative. I don't want to share that idea. Go out there, share as much as you can, and you get feedback. Don't be scared of people copying you. If you're scared, that means you do not know the business of your venture. But if you've figured out how you're going to do that, it's different. That's why we have over 10 social media platforms, and each one of them delivers different value.
So for a youth out there who would want to understand what exactly Brian Guitar has been awarded, or how many awards do you have? How many awards do you have?
How many awards does the company have?
Yeah, the company.
No, that's a good question. You know, oftentimes it's good to focus on them, but oftentimes I do not want to focus on the awards because they vary in what you want to portray out there. But we have been fortunate enough to collect quite a number of investments and awards over time for the different services we are offering. So to quantify them, I would say over 6-5 awards, stretching from UN Women Empowerment Awards to Enterprise Awards from other big corporations. So
for a viewer there who is watching us and would love to be in the same position you're in, I believe they are facing challenges. They are facing challenges, but they don't want to look at them as challenges. They want to look at them as, probably you can call them stumbling blocks here and there, but they would like to be like you in a couple of time, maybe 7 years, maybe 5 years. Can you briefly give maybe your word on how best they can achieve their dream, or they can achieve what they want? How can they play with their talent to get where they want to be?
Team is key in any business you're building. One, you have to accept that you're not the wisest person, and then you have to get sure to hire the wise people around you so that you get to offer the best service. So a team is key. And also key business aspects. Make sure that your business is legal. So you know you have to set up structure. You don't tell me I have a shop, I'm not paying a few taxes here and there, and I'm not doing the legal things. So that is going to limit your scale. You're not going to get that level of investment if you're not legal. So those are some of the mistakes that people make. They go to step up in front of an investor and they're sharing this solution, and they have no books of accounting.
Yeah.
You do not know how they have been performing as a business. So these normal, make sure your business is at least legal, is moving in the right direction, you're doing proper bookkeeping, you're having revenues that are coming in, and make sure things are clear and your projections are clear. That way, it's easy for any other person, it's easy for me to invest, it's easy for you to come and say, that's a good idea, I've seen you've created some traction, and it looks like you have an understanding of how big this market is, and your focus, your team is willing to go that direction. Let's see what we can do together. So that's the kind of things that you have to put in place.
Yeah, so as we conclude this one-on-one segment, would like you to tell us more, or to give us your recommendations to government. I mean, yeah, there's a youth out there who's doing their part, who's trying to get the business legal, who's trying to, it's a hustle out there, who's trying to make sure that they do the hustle as is, but probably policy, probably a lot of other things. The private sector foundation, the government. We have lots of stakeholders and the development players who are there. So what is your recommendation when it comes to those development partners?
One of the things you talked about is policies. We have to really redefine and contextualize some of these policies. I mean, we are happy that things like data protection policies are coming in, but there's still room for us to contextualize more. For example, in those loops, we do not expect the government to hire your data protection policy personnel at a company, but it's still stated in some of those ways. So we have to contextualize more these policies that we are creating. If we are giving investment tax holidays to people that are coming in, we should look at such incentives for SMEs as well. If an SME is setting out in production, should we give them tax holidays, and the process to getting those tax holidays, the process to getting land and put up production plants should be clear and should be achievable for an SME. But also I think there's lots of great ideas each of those different stakeholders, be it private organizations or government organizations or development aid organizations that are working on. But one of the other problems is that they work in silos. They do not want to open up. So I think the first step is them opening up the more, creating those synergies and creating funds in those synergies, creating frameworks that support SMEs to getting from point 0 to point 10 or whatever they want to get to.
Yeah, so thank you very much. As we have been in the first segment of Let's Talk Business, we're here with our guest Brian Gita, and we are going to have a short break. But when we are having this short break, we urge you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We urge you to follow the discussion. We are looking at Let's Talk Business, the Entrepreneurs edition, and tonight's topic is about building a resilient startup in the Ugandan economy. So let's come back with the Mindset Change Corner. Thank you very much. So welcome to this other segment of Mindset Change Corner. In this segment, we talk about 3 types of mindset. We talk about the saving mindset, the investment mindset, and the mentorship mindset. Because this is what makes up the business cycle. Or for you to complete the business cycle, you have or you must do those 3 types of mindset change. So, Gita Brian, let us first discuss the status, or briefly, you tell us what you think about saving, investment, and mentorship as a mindset type.
So to me, when you're stating them and when you mentioned them earlier before the shooting, it creates, it's not linear. It's a cycle, like you said, because each of those elements can't stand alone. True. You saving without a direction of investment doesn't make anything. And you having those savings and you do not know how to grow those savings doesn't matter. But you need a person to teach you as well. So I think they are key, and why I call it a cycle is you can start from anywhere. Some of us went into business without having the full knowledge of the types of business we're going in. We made a lot of mistakes at the beginning, and if we had mentorships towards that direction, probably wouldn't have made those mistakes. So even if you're saving, say, to invest in yourself to learn more, you're saving to invest as a company into procuring a product that is going to increase your productivity or increase your revenues. So it's all different. So you have to make sure that you go through the whole cycle. Saving shouldn't be open-minded, because then you can as well as not save, but it should be targeted. And in what grows wealth is not the savings, it's the investment.
What grows wealth is not
the savings, it's the investment. So because that's where you're going to multiply over time. Okay, so first of all, we'd like to appreciate our subscribers and our viewers out there, but we also urge you to hit on the notification bell so that you don't have to miss out these discussions. So Brian, when it comes to these elements of saving, investing, and mentorship, it's very important for our youth out there. But I mean, we have seen people facing these challenges. We have seen that according to our social media followers and the audience, or the people who are looking at doing business or who follow this discussion, for example, we have people aging around the age of 18 to 24. And that is where very many people are yearning for the saving mindset. Very many people are yearning to understand how can they save. And then we also have the element of the 25 to around 30 or 32, yearning for investment, looking for where to invest, how to invest.
when to invest, where to invest. Okay. Then we also have the element of the 32, the senior youth, like we have categorized them, who are looking for mentorship. But however, this mentorship mindset tackles all the three parts, segments I've showed you. So, how do you think we can involve the majority of the youth to participate in all those three segments like I have mentioned them?
One of the things I think I would start with is the culture and mindset. That alone affects us a lot in the way we do things because it limits our exposure. If a person is exposed, the more they will invest, the more they will have more opportunities and they will think of more ideas. One, Laban, you know what we have seen growing up and how it goes. You know, first of all, even the parents, as I come to the cycle, expect you at that age. I think 18, you're going to campus. What they expect you to go to campus. If you're doing, say, computer science, to work in MTN after that.
They set standards for you.
They have to set those standards, and then probably if you're not working in a big telecom by then, the community starts saying that's a failure. 2 years into working, you have to buy a car. After buying a car, you have to build a house. And that is a trend most of the people have taken. And if you do not achieve that to the standards of us, the communities around us, you are a failure. That alone is hard to drive the saving, investment and mentorship cycle. Because our mindset is not wide. First, it's already having little space to think. We need to fix that.
Perfect.
We need to fix that.
True. That is something we need to fix. It is something I've seen. I mean, this is a sad incident. I was watching the news, and then a young girl who had just finished her primary 7, she hung herself because of the results she got in the PLE exams. And then in her suicidal letter, she said that I think very many people came in and said that the parents had told her, look, you have 20 aggregates, our neighbors have children who have this. So parents out there, we need to be very critical as we're mentoring the youth.
Sure.
And also we need to make sure that we give positive, I would say positive vibes.
True.
I would say we give positive vibes.
Positive energy.
Positive energy. We try our level best to surround ourselves with positive energy. So as we are reaching towards our conclusion, what would be your recommendations? You know, I like recommendations because you have been through this for over 7 years, building Think IT as a company, as an entity, and also building a company means you're building brand as a person.
True.
So what would be your recommendations out there to government, to private sector, to the parents out there, to someone out there who really wants a better society for Uganda? As we are concluding, what would be your recommendations?
From the previous comment, mindset was one of them. So when you talk about the saving investment structure, we have to look beyond what the normal things are. So because, and I think the power of coming together also plays a big role. And there's many opportunities there, just that other than getting 200 million and putting it in your, I'm not saying it's wrong, but imagine 3 of us, 200 million is well up bound. A person that is watching, some of your audience, imagine how much they are earning. Let's make it realistic. If a person is earning 1 million shillings in Uganda,
which is the basic pay for someone who has a maybe job, a graduate,
what are they going to do? You're talking investments. What opportunities are there for them to invest through? They have expenditures. Are they going to save?
How much are they going to save? What
if they're saving 200 shillings? What are they going to do? So in most cases, we are all doing the same things. Let me save my 500 until I get my 6 million, and I go somewhere and I buy a plot of land. Real estate is good, but don't only do that. Diversify. I mean, there are government bonds, there are bills, there are other investment vehicles that are out there that you can go in. There are, I mean, things like stocks that people can diversify in. There's manufacturing.
Yes.
Do you know the margins of a matchbox? How much do you buy a matchbox?
And you know, every family, when you bring that example of a matchbox, it's quite an interesting example. I'll speak my side, and I hope you also speak your side.
True.
So it came to my understanding, you know, there's certain products I normally go when I'm going to do my grocery shopping. I like to experience this. I go and check out. So I checked out 2 products, actually 3 products, but I'll speak about 2 products. I'll speak about a matchbox and some other product I'm going to tell you. So I checked about the matchbox and I realized the matchbox is 50 shillings. And then when you buy a pack of it, it's 1,000 shillings, Uganda shillings. But every family has a matchbox. Right from the family that is well-to-do up to the family that you will call maybe low income earning, it will buy the matchbox. And then somehow there's another product called I know it in the local language. Chapa mandazi, something like chapa mandazi, or we call it chitumbisa. That's what you use when you're baking, this product, baking powder.
Yes,
I think it has not changed its branding for over, I don't know, for a century now, or for a decade, maybe a decade, or more than a decade.
More than that.
Like half a century.
So has the matchbox.
So has the matchbox, guys. So you see that at least we have opportunities out there. But because I think this information, because I hosted a friend of mine here called Benzika Joel, and we had discussed about this information being out there for people to understand. For example, we have people who have come together, you said in the audience that we may have, because we want to create a self-investment space.
True.
So now imagine you have 100 youth willing to invest, even if it's 500,000, probably every month, every week, they're willing to invest.
But the pool of that reserve can accomplish more, even if it's not 100. Not bad. Look at it at 5 friends. You have 5 friends that you go out with every day, once in a while,
yes,
not during lockdown.
I know.
SOPs everywhere.
I understand.
But if you do that, you can get into manufacturing.
Yeah.
Simple things like that have market. Remember at the beginning of the segment we said, when you're going into business, look at the problem and look at the market available. Every family needs a matchbox, probably. Sold. And this, you do not have to go in and capture the whole market segment. You can start somewhere. There is the market. So yes, you can invest in real estate. You're buying your small plots of land every time, but also diversify that. Pull in people you trust. Go in different ventures. Go into investment of such building, value addition. Go into agriculture. There's a lot of chains that you can influence on that agriculture value chain. Big distribution and just making sure that you create a wider market. Try to diversify and go away from that.
This brings me to the most important point. I believe I happen to be
a diversified
man. I like to get my hands everywhere because we want, for you to get somewhere, you must have multiple sources of income.
True.
So I have looked at the fact that very many people out there are willing, they have the will, they have the zeal. But now you're talking about scenarios like where people are willing to invest in manufacturing, are willing to invest. But like I told you, I think it also goes out to the government out there to give us a safe investment environment or
and a clear pipeline.
Imagine the government gave us, let me first start with accessing capital by a normal youth, a startup. We shall go into a lot if it comes to that. The banks, the other people who can give you money are going to ask you for your inside, your intestines, your everything. But that's okay.
Speaking about that, you look. Let me just mirror that to the like Silicon Valley, that technological ecosystem in California, right? The growth also banks didn't allow to invest in startups. Why? Because they were high risk then. But you realize that government came in and created policies that allow you to register your company in less than a day, right? Create policies that allow you to creating a banking,
to go public.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we have IPOs, we have what? Why can't
But
we do
also
it?
banks that were specifically investing in such kind of businesses that were high risk and not asking for your intestines and everything that you don't have at that time. So it's key to create that capital as the government and private sector. Let's think of CRS, it's called corporate social responsibility.
Yes.
We, of course,
Yes,
companies need visibility. But if you're to pull the private companies into their private company umbrella and create that as a fund to support SMEs, do you know what we would accomplish with these big corporations?
Exactly. And I also think we need to push more for the government. Every time I read the news, we're seeing people get tax holidays.
Yeah.
Investors, foreign investors, local investors, yes. We are saying, where is the tax holiday for the youth? We believe that the youth can also have tax holidays. People who have good ideas. We have seen government giving tax holidays to companies. I remember, I'll give an example of a company called Warid. You remember? Who didn't buy a SIM card before Warid? But after the 5 years of the tax holiday, they now sold to Airtel. After they admitted
to Zain.
Yes. After they admitted enough from us. That's okay, that's another story for another day. But we're saying, we also, as youth, we're also advocating for such spaces. We are also looking at how best can we have this message out there to the youth to access this information. Bankable projects. Uganda Investment Authority has this on the website. They have done their part, yes. But also now the youth now have to put in extra effort.
They've done step one.
Yes.
They have to create that to be digestible information, to contextualize that information for that small SME. Because yes, you see, the beauty about Ugandan businesses is, like you say, the businesses in Chikubo.
True. The informal sector business.
The informal sector business. I'm not educated. I'm not that educated to go to your website and get these reforms and read these things.
Yes.
What are we doing as government and private sector to make sure that information reaches those people? Because there's lots of money in those informal sector businesses, and there's lots of possibility of growth.
Yeah, so thank you very much. This discussion will never end because business is in our life. So members, hit the notification button, subscribe so that we can have these discussions more and more. See you.
See you.